Hello everybody, welcome back to the layout. Here's another update on the modeling of the rolling drawbridge. So the last video I stopped at gluing the edges around the top here, up to here. So as you can see, I have glued more edges on the sides of the structure, and I also started adding some additional beams in place as well. So that will be more or less according to this drawing. So this beam has been glued in place. As you can also see, I have a gap in between here. That is actually more realistic than what is drawn on the picture here. So on the bridge here there will be a beam going up to there, and then there will be a beam going in a 45-degree angle from here to this one there. Alright, so I have now glued all the beams in place that I want. So let's zoom in a bit. So as you can see, here is the vertical beam that I was talking about, and this 45-degree angle beam. But in addition, I have also glued a structure on top that looks like this. And what you can also see is that I have glued quite a large number of these triangles to the beams. That is both for giving the bridge a certain rigidity, but I think it also is very realistic, because this you would find on a real bridge as well. So I guess this is pretty prototypical. I must admit this was quite a fiddly job. It was not very easy to get all of this in the right location, and especially gluing these small pieces was very fiddly. So the bridge was not entirely finished, as I said, because I had forgotten about these little strips here and also here up to there. And so the idea here was to make the sides of the bridge look more like a girder bridge. So these strips are now glued in place as well. So if I just turn it around, I did the same thing on the other side, obviously. And then I also mentioned the counterweight that will have to come here. So I glued a few strips on the sides here. So those are these strips here. And then I cut out a counterweight from foam, which is this bit here. And so I don't know if I can do this with one hand. This will then be put in place like this. So then that makes a finished bridge. Quite happy with the result, I must say. So one more update on the bridge. I had not glued these strips on the inside in place, so I've added that now as well. That makes it much more complete, I think. And then the other thing I did was I glued in place these feet. I have really no idea what you call them, but it's like the supports that the bridge will sit on or rest on. So those are glued in place as well. So finally it's complete now and ready for a layer of primer. So the next step is to make the supports for the bridge, more or less like is shown here. So what I want to make is thin strips of foam like these that the bridge will rest on. And the idea is that these strips have to be rectangular, so they should be nice and square. And so the plan to achieve that is to use my foam cutter, which is this one here from Woodland Scenics, and I'll try and cut off a strip in this manner and try to get it as square as possible. We'll see if that works or not, otherwise I'll have to come up with another plan. So the idea is to have square battens like this, and if I have those lined up properly, I can then hopefully cut off a strip in a square fashion like that. Alright, so that was the first cut, and that turned out pretty smooth. So I think that this will work. So now I'll try and cut out the strip in the correct thickness. And so there we have it. Nice and square. As you can see, not entirely square here, but I don't need the entire length. So especially this part here is really nice and square. So that turned out really nice. So this part didn't work out, but as I said, I don't need the entire length. I've now cut the strips of foam that the bridge is resting on to the proper dimensions. So this has gotten the correct height. And just to illustrate, if I put my ruler on there, you see that everything is flush and level. So the bridge needed to be flush with this level here. So what I've also done is I've cut out this block here. So this is then a block that is also flush with the baseboard, and that is then also allowing me, or that allows the bridge to roll up like this. I have to make some further constructions for that, but that will I will do that later on. So the next step is that I will also have to fill in this part here. So I've cut out a block here as well, but the problem is that this is not a straight edge here, and so to get to cut it out, I need to cut away a part here, and to do that properly I'll first glue these two parts together, and I will then align them and put them in the right place, and then I will make my measurements to see how much I need to cut away to get this block in between here. Alright, so I glued together these pieces of foam, as you can see, and so that is going here. So what I did was I took a pencil and drew around this to get this contour like that, and from that I could take the distance and the measures where the opposite side has to go, as you can see here. So then this shape here, I've drawn that onto paper, and then from that I transferred it onto the block of foam and cut it out like this. So then that goes here, and then this piece goes there, and if I place it like this, the bridge falls in place like that. So that is a perfect match. And as you can see, I can still lift the bridge up. So that's what it will be like.